Hi, and welcome to Spotlight on Bensenville. I'm your host, Kelsey Faywell, Associate Planner for the Village. I'm also in charge of the Village's Complete Count Committee for the 2020 Census. So please join me in welcoming our guests, Dave Seifert and Laura Schwarz. Dave and Laura, if you could please introduce yourselves to our viewers.
Sure, I'm Dave Seifert. I am the director of the Bensenville Public Library. On this channel a lot, hosting our Spotlight, so we're really happy to be here and participate and let everybody know how important filling out the 2020 census is.
Hi, I'm Laura Schwarz, and I'm the community liaison for Bensenville School District 2. Also familiar with Spotlights, have been really enjoying putting them on for the district. And join Dave in the fact that the 2020 census is really important. We want to get the word out.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining me today. So let's get the basics out of the way first. So Dave, could you tell our viewers a little bit about what the 2020 census is?
Yeah, so the 2020 census, the census comes around every 10 years, correct? And it's a way that we let everybody in our community be counted. And there's a lot of funding and things that are based on how many residents live in our town. It's really important that everybody fills it out. And it's pretty simple. We'll get into some of the questions and how long it takes to do, but it's just a basic way to make sure that we know who lives in our town and the government knows who lives in our town, and funding is allocated to us based on that.
Great. So yes, getting into what will be asked. So the census is pretty straightforward, as Dave said. It will only ask you to confirm your address, just insert what was mailed to you, and then it'll ask you for you as the homeowner, your age, your name, your racial and ethnic background, and then it'll also get into how many people are living in your household. And then so you respond to say in total how many there are, and then you'll go into adding on additional information for each individual of your household, their dates of birth, how they're related to you and each other, their racial and ethnic background. Am I missing anything?
No, I don't think so. We talked a little bit beforehand about how many questions it is, and it's around 9 questions, right? It could be a little more, a little less, depending on, how many family members you have and entering that sort of data. But it is pretty straightforward. You wanted to talk about a little bit about like things it doesn't mention or doesn't ask for, right?
Yes. So it's really important, especially with, I know people are getting a lot of robocalls, a lot of mailers. So the census, as we said, will only ask those questions that we mentioned. It will not ask for any bank information. It won't ask for your social security number. It won't ask for any political party affiliations. So I have heard of people getting a census letter in the mail from the Republican Party. So that is spam. You should ignore that because it will not ask you anything about your party. It will not have any party affiliation on it, which is important. And Laura, I know that you said you filled out census and it was a breeze, right?
It was. I mean, literally came in, received my number that's attached that you get online with, and literally took me less than 10 minutes to complete. And we're 5 of us total in the household. So, I mean, it was really easy to get in the information and be done. And now I don't have to worry. I mean, we're counted, so.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. I came home one day from work and it was in the postcard was in the mail. I brought in the mail, started cooking dinner, and I did it on my smartphone while, dinner was getting ready to go into the oven. And it just took maybe 5 minutes. It was very simple.
Yeah, I like that it's really easy to do on the phone. I was a little nervous that it'd be kind of something I would need the computer for, but it is nice, loads really quickly. Laura, I'm glad that you mentioned the ID number on the form because when you fill it out online, when you call, or even if you got, which you should have, your paper form, it will give you a specific ID number that it's specific to your address. But the good news is that if maybe you accidentally threw out the mailing or you can't find it. So if you can't find your ID number, you can just click a little button or say, I don't have my census ID number, and you can just enter in your address and it will formulate your questionnaire that way, which is great, because I know sometimes I'm always throwing out mail that I just don't have sitting around. So let's talk about when people can start responding and what notification they'll get to respond.
For sure. So you can respond now. And we've talked about that people probably have gotten their initial mailer at this point with that ID number, right? So you can go online and respond that way. At this point, too, they probably should have already sent out the first copy of the paper version, correct, Kelsey?
I believe so,
I think
yes.
that's going to go out in April at some point. So you might have seen that come across your door. If you have missed either of those things, like you said, you can go online and just enter your address and fill it out from there. But there should be an additional paper copy coming later this summer, right?
Yes. Yes. So essentially, I'm sure you've already received countless mailings from the census. A few of them are kind of just postcard format or a simple letter just telling you to go online or call a number to do it. Some specific households early on got a paper form that was generated by the Bureau themselves. They figured out who. And now at this point, if you haven't already responded, like Dave said, you should have gotten the paper form in the mail. And there will be reminders. You've probably already received a good amount of reminders, and you'll get a few more if you haven't responded. And let's think.
Yeah, if all else fails and you do not fill it out online or you do not return the paper mailer, this has been up for debate. They've changed this a little bit, but eventually somebody will come and knock on your door, correct?
Yes, right now the plan is that phase, the non-response follow-up phase, will begin August 11th, and that will continue on until the end of the self-response phase, October 31st. So you can self-respond all the way up until that date, but if you have not by August 11th, they will be knocking on your door.
Yep.
So I would say by all means, it's so simple to fill out form electronically. By all means, if you have the ability to do that, whether it's your phone or whether it's your computer, so simple to and not have to worry about someone coming to knock on your door for that information. So fill out ahead of time, save yourself a lot of inconvenience.
Yep.
Yeah, especially right now with everything that's happening, it's best to kind of do it on your own and limit interactions that you may have.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's important to know that a lot of people already have done this. I was looking the other day at the census response data for Bensenville, and I think it was a little bit over 60% have already responded online or through the mail, correct?
Yes, which is great.
So thank you for those of you who have already done that.
Yes, thank you. It's great that, now we kind of can use that map to focus on specific areas, see, which of our tracks are kind of undercounted at the moment. And I
think the important thing to notice why we're so appreciative, I think as a school district or the library or the village, the reason why we have to be so appreciative is because it means so much to our different entities.
It does.
For the school district, it really means funding to a lot of programming. Specifically for us, special education programming, and also our families that are low-income families, plus, other programming that is outside of those areas as well. So big programs, small programs, these numbers truly help us within our programming. Dave, I'm sure you would agree.
Yeah, certainly. For the library, we get every year what is called the Per Capita Grant, and that's offered through the Illinois State Library. And the amount of funding is based on how many residents live in our library district. And we get a little bit of money for each one of those residents. And this is above and beyond the property tax dollars that we collect to run the library. It depends on at the state library from year to year how much we get. The last few years it's sort of ranged between $16,000 and $26,000, but all of that money goes directly to buying library materials. It doesn't help pay for staff. It doesn't help buy computers. It's all physical library materials. So books and kids books and adult books and test prep books and fiction books and nonfiction books and everything like that. English language materials, Spanish language materials. It's a big part of our collection development budget every year. So we really rely on that. And we want to make sure that we get as much money as we can so we can buy as many of those materials to then offer to the community.
Yeah, yes, exactly. The census is super important, from a village standpoint. One, we just need to know, it's really useful for us to know how many people are in our community, the demographics of those people. That way, we can use that in terms of thinking of new programs where we want to put community centers. It's great. We also use it, or that funding that Dave and Laura are talking about, the village also gets that funding for infrastructure services like our public works, services that our public works provides. And then even from a business standpoint, it's great. We can use this data to kind of track what's happening in our community, think about future development, what we might want to add business-wise, where would be a good place for it. So it's extremely helpful. And then also individually for our residents, it is a way your response impacts your political representation. So the count of our community and our state, these responses determine the number of seats that Illinois will have in the House of Representatives, which is extremely important.
Yeah, it's really important because I think that people should know that we're at risk of losing some of those seats, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We're undercounted, and we certainly want to have our voice heard in Washington. So it's really, really important to make sure that we can do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so it's clear that the census has so many benefits to our community, just making sure that we get counted.
The other thing that you mentioned that is really important in terms of going back to the library, we do look at the sort of demographics in the community, and our collection and what we purchase is in part based on that, right? I mean, if we need to see, if we have, for instance, a large Polish-speaking collection or population, we need to make sure that we're buying, books for that collection. So it really does help us in more ways than just the monetary benefit.
Exactly. And then it's important to note that, like you said, Polish-speaking population, we do have a large number of residents that speak languages other than English. So it's important for everyone to know that the census is available in multiple languages. While the paper form only is available in English and Spanish, the online form and the call numbers are available in, I want to say, officially 12 languages, including Spanish and Polish, among others. And they also do offer language guides on their websites in case the census isn't offered in your specific language. You can use those guides to help you fill out the census.
And you mentioned something that I don't think we touched on. We talked about people can fill it out online, or they can fill out the paper version, or somebody might come to their door, but you just mentioned a call-in. So people can participate and complete the census by also using their phone and calling a phone number.
Yes, which is great if you don't have internet access at the time. And I'm pretty sure the call centers stay open pretty late. I want to say it varies for different language departments, but I think a good amount of them stay up to 12 a.m. or 2 in the morning. So,
wow.
You get off work, it's super late, they're open. So you can call and speak to a representative and get your census filled out.
Yep. Sounds good.
That's awesome.
So I know a lot of people everywhere are concerned about filling out the census in terms of their, privacy. They're a little weary of putting out their personal information and don't really know where it's going to go, what's going to happen to it. Do you guys have any calming words for those people?
Well, definitely. I think that when I filled out the census, I really kind of paid attention to that, because I think I want to be sensitive, and I know Dave's sensitive too, to our patrons. For us, it's our families, coming in and, their questions that they might have for us when filling out the census. And I have to say, I mean, they're not asking for deep, dark secrets. They're not asking for anything like you mentioned earlier, your political affiliation, or, you know, anything that's personal to you. It simply is how many are in your household, their date of birth, and their, you know, which will give you the age, and what their relationship is to you. So it's strictly, you know, very straightforward and very quick to fill out. So
it is. And
assured there's nothing to worry.
There's been a little bit of, I would say, even misconception that it's people are concerned about their immigration status, and that's not a question that's on there, correct? And two, you know, if you live in Bensenville, we want to make sure you're counted, because the library is here. If you live in our community, the library is here to serve you. The village is here to serve you. The school district is here to serve you, regardless of what your status is. If you're in our town, our job is to provide you with the best service that we can. And we don't care about that sort of, you know, what your status is, and the census doesn't care. So privacy is very important to us as a community. It's very important to the census too. They're not, you know, sharing any information that would put anybody at risk.
Exactly. Very well put. And then it's also important to know that the information that you have provided, as Laura put, no deep, dark secrets, but it's important that everyone is aware that that information is 100% confidential. Not only are our census workers sworn to an oath to protect this information, they can't talk about it, they can't relate to anyone. The Bureau also cannot share this data with any other government agency, any court of law, which is great, you know, for everyone to know that the information that you have provided is safe. And the website is 100% encrypted, so you don't have to worry about that. So fill out census.
Yep,
absolutely.
Sure.
And so I know a lot of people are very concerned with, we've touched upon it, mentioned it, you know, receiving countless mailings. The census can call you, they can follow up in person. So as Dave and I discussed, they will be coming to your door in August if you have not responded. And there's also a way that the census, you provide your phone number on the census, and that is used in case your application is maybe unclear, you skipped a question, or they even just want to confirm. So they will be contacting you if your information is incomplete or unclear to them. And then there's also a chance that they could come to your door if your neighbor isn't responding. As a sort of last resort, the census will reach out to, could be someone at the village, could be the post office, could be a neighbor, just to, you know, clarify and say, could you give us some sort of insight as to who's living in that household, how many people, just so they can use that data or fill that data out the best that they can. All right, so to summarize what we've talked about, the census, countless benefits for our community, and super simple, super easy. If you have any questions you want to clarify, you can head to the website. You can contact me at Village Hall. I'd be more than happy to help everyone and walk you through it. And let's think. I know Dave mentioned that right now we are at about 61% self-response rate for the village. So obviously we want to get that number as high as possible. Last census in 2010, our final response rate was 78%. So let's try to not only reach that goal, but beat it. 80% would be great. Want to raise it even just a little bit.
Yeah, that would be, that's
be counted, really, everyone.
Yeah, definitely. So thanks for putting this together, Kelsey, and thank you for all your work at the village to promote the census, and Laura, you too, at the school district. This is really something that is important to all of us, and I'm looking forward to seeing the results when they get tabulated.
Yep. Thank you both so much for coming on the show today and talking with me. You guys do wonderful, wonderful stuff for our residents, and it's great that we had a chance to talk about this.
Excellent.
So
thank you so much, Kelsey.
Take care, everyone.
Stay
Bye,
safe.
everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Be counted, everyone. Thanks for watching Spotlight on Bensenville.